folks now, and welcome to another episode of the Pyrate Round. I be Captain Skultopus here, and this be the Scarlet Raven. And we welcome you to our show, to our Pyrate Round episode, where we're going to talk about very wonderful piratical things. But first, folks, what we're going to do is pour out a toast. This toast is from the crystal skull with cursed Jamaican mountain red rum in it. And this rum is specially brewed by rats high in the mountains of Jamaica. Mountain rats, they call them.
Rum rats.
Rum rats. There you go, Scarlet Raven. Put the cork in so it's sealed in the evil. And now we say to you folks, welcome to another episode, Pyrate Round. Welcome friends, to friends we know, to friends who we don't know yet, friends who have gone. We say to you now, welcome in your heart.
Your heart. So good. So I got a letter the other day, Captain.
Yar.
From Asquizit Wormsley in Nowheres, New Mexico.
Oh, terrible place.
Where is Nowheres, New Mexico? I guess it's the middle of nowhere.
Nowhere. Middle of nowhere, I think.
New Mexico. And anyway, Asquizit said, how do I get a pirate nickname?
That's
I want to start dressing pirates, but how do I get my pirate name? Well, you know, so pirates, you know, they have their real names and then they have nicknames. Now, a nickname was something that they didn't call themselves. It was something that somebody else called them.
That's true.
And you know, there's many of them. You know, probably the most famous was Edward Thatch.
Mm-hmm. Blackbeard.
Blackbeard.
Big beard.
Big black beard, swarthy skin.
Yeah. Big man, tall, thin, very imposing.
Ribbons in his hair.
Tie ribbons in his beard and put cannon fuses under his hat there to light and make smoke all around him. To scare people, of course. And Blackbeard itself is a scary name.
That's right.
So it worked.
Very, very fierce name.
True.
Now, like I said, that wasn't the name that he called himself.
No. But
his real name was either Edward Thatch or Edward Teach or something along that lines. But it certainly, Blackbeard is the reputation of the name that he got back then and even carries forth today. And probably one of the most famous nicknames.
True. And you know, a pirate's nickname now must come from the persona that the pirate likes to project. Now, you know, one of the most amazing pirate nicknames I've ever run across in my career here was Captain Sneaky Pants of the Pink Excavator.
I've never heard of that name.
And it was an amazing pirate.
That's right. That's right. I remember that name.
Yeah, see, well, you remember Captain Sneaky Pants of the Pink Excavator?
I remember that name.
Yar, quite a pirate he was. And so a pirate's nickname, you know, comes from others, and it's part of the persona that you project upon others.
Right. Now, another famous one was Stede Bonnet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also called the Gentleman Pirate.
The Gentleman Pirate.
Because Stede was plantation class.
True, he was a planter.
And he dressed in fine knee breeches and stockings and polished shoes with buckles.
Yar.
And wigs, and looked very much the fine gentleman,
right?
That of the class that he came from.
Yeah, and it seems like I don't see more on there. You know, gentleman pirate. But you know, there's quite a few pirates who were, you know, considered to be men of, you know, upper class, upper breeding, and I may say more pirates, but rather privateers. You know, who might have been like that.
Right.
Woodes Rogers.
Who originally started off as a privateer.
Yeah, as a privateer, a pirate hunter.
Then became a governor and a pirate hunter.
Exactly, and so that would be a good example. And there were others, you know, who, you know, might have had a better sort of upbringing, or heirs, anyway, to being better, you know, Captain Henry Morgan.
Right.
And so, anyway, but we're talking about pirate nicknames and people with unusual nicknames here. So.
Now, another one was Sam Bellamy.
Oh, yes.
Now, he had a couple of different nicknames.
Yeah, he had several, yeah. The Robin Hood of the Sea.
Right, and Black Sam Bellamy.
And Black Sam. It wasn't because of his black heart, because those who knew him have said that he was quite a fair man, as long as you hadn't crossed him in the past. But perhaps he got the name Black Sam because he had so many freed slaves in his crew and couldn't abide by slavery. And so he had taken so many freed slaves into his crew.
Right, right. And of course, the Robin Hood of the Sea. That was actually a phrase that he and his own men said, that we are the Robin Hood of the Sea.
Right.
Because we are robbing from, there was a quote that you I think you know.
Yep. And they would rob from the rich and give to the poor. And so that was essentially how they considered themselves, the Robin Hood men, Robin Hood's men of the sea.
Now, there was an anecdote that he had, that he said.
Well, he said, between myself and those supposed gentlemen, there is only this difference, that we rob under the cover of our own courage, while they rob under the cover of their own class. And that was the idea, that he was a very class-minded pirate, and he had a great concern for the downtrodden and the poor. He would take them aboard his ship, and such as that, you know, as much as that can go.
Then another one we had was Bartholomew Roberts. Who Bartholomew is
that's right. Bartholomew. We talk about Bartholomew there.
Right, but Bartholomew.
Yeah, Bartholomew Roberts. They called him Black Barty. Black because apparently his soul was so black from all the thieving he's done. He was probably one of the most successful pirates who robbed more ships than just about anyone else. So they called him Black Barty in that sense.
Right, he was probably one of the real big names that lasted the longest.
True. Well, you know, when he finally took over as captain, you know, he didn't last more than about a year or two before he was finally killed. But we get from him the idea of what pirates actually looked like. You know, he had his bright red coat and his fine pants and his hat, his giant hat, all up until the English cannonball hit him and killed him, and his men threw him overboard to make sure that the English wouldn't get hold of his body.
Right. Another one. John Rackham.
John Rackham.
Now, we know that John has a nickname.
True.
Jack.
Yeah, Jack. That's short for John. John, right. Jack.
And he wore these fine materials called calico, which are from India. Now, it's not the calico that we think of today with the bright flowers and everything else.
Nope.
Calico was, you know, usually had stripes, and it was a form of material that came from India.
True.
But he had the name of Calico Jack, or Calico Jack Rackham.
And everyone seems to think that the calico fabric of those days was the calico fabric of today, which is essentially bright and many-colored and such.
Flowers and little house, and so, little ship in the small sea.
Right, that sort of thing. And so they have this idea that he must have appeared a clown and walking along, you know, looking like a ridiculous clown. But the thing about John Rackham is, I think if he wore calico back then, which was essentially cotton,
right,
cotton cloth from India, which could be striped or subtly hued, depending, when most clothing that people had was wool or linen or silk. And so here he was in cotton.
Cotton was
very
starting
different.
to come into its own.
Yes, it was. And so it must have been sort of unusual for him to wear like striped cotton clothing. And the idea that we have of John Rackham as being a buffoon or a clown, I think probably isn't borne out by historical detail, because as we've talked about before, and we'll probably talk about again, he was elected quartermaster twice by his crew.
Right.
And crews did not elect as quartermaster an incompetent individual. So,
what do we have going on down there?
Well, that's a battle taking place in the Indian Ocean there.
One of the great Mogul ships, probably taken by maybe Thomas Toole.
Could be Thomas Toole.
Henry Avery, or
probably Henry Avery.
Kidd, or Christopher Condon.
Could be. Probably Henry Avery taking the great Mogul ship there.
Could also be Oliver Leverset.
It could be the Buzzard himself.
Which is another nickname.
You led it into the Denshot.
Right.
Folks, Scarlet Raven's awful sneaky. How she lets things slide in kind of like that. So, the Buzzard, Leverset.
Or Labousse.
You know, very intriguing pirate, I've got to say. Probably one of the few people to actually have a buried treasure.
Right. It was a great thing that we saw here not too long ago.
True.
They may be close to finding it.
About his buried treasure and where it might be in the Indian Ocean. And they called him the Buzzard. I think there were other ways. One is I think he had the big buzzard's beak.
Another because he hovered around.
He hovered around the ships and his kills and waited for them. And he also had only one eye. He had lost an eye. So he had an eye patch too. So he had an eye and probably one kind of bulging eye with his big nose there. He must have looked just like a buzzard with a buzzard's beak.
Now, we have another one, Sir Francis Drake.
Ah, the dragon.
The dragon, right?
That's, yes. Drake itself, of course, is sort of a corruption of the word Draca, or Drake, or dragon.
Right.
But that's what the Spanish called him, the dragon. His courage was so immense that the man was a terror of the Spanish Main and in the Pacific Ocean too. And they must have the Spaniards looked upon him as the dragon himself coming out. And mothers would scare their children into behaving by telling him that if they didn't behave, the dragon would come get them.
Then we start getting into, well, I want to reflect back real quickly. Calico Jack. Now, I know that there's some story that in some places that call him Rackham le Rouge. Now, Rackham le Rouge actually is from a child's novel. That actually wasn't the name he was actually
From Tintin.
called. Tintin, right,
Yeah.
2 books.
Right.
The Unicorn and I think it was Rackham the Red Treasure.
Okay, well,
Right.
so it's basically just a little bit of literary license that an author's taken. He's taken a name
Right.
and mixing it with something else, and you get Rackham the Rouge or Rackham the Red.
Right, which would be a nickname from fiction, which
true.
is another one we're going to hit upon.
True.
Wesley, the Dread Pirate Roberts.
The Dread
He
Pirate
was about
Roberts.
the 7th or 8th. I
Yeah,
think.
well, it was the franchise, you know,
It's a
and he would
franchise.
kind of go from one to the next.
Kind of like Dead Bob.
Yeah, kind of like the Dead Bob franchise.
Hey, Pirate Round!
Oh my
Hey,
goodness.
Pirates!
Mm.
There's many of those. Now, you know, we don't really know what Captain Skultopus's real name is.
Well,
He gets
there's
his name
no point.
because of this hat.
True.
He's got this, if you see, this skull octopus.
Captain Skultopus, they say.
Skultopus. Now, my nickname,
The Scarlet Raven.
Scarlet Raven,
And of
is
course
because
you
of the
can
flag
tell.
that I designed. You know, the red raven on the skull.
Right there, which would be the Red Raven on the skull with the
Or
cross
scarlet.
cutlashes. Right, the Scarlet
Right.
Raven there on top of the skull with the cutlashes underneath. The Scarlet Raven.
But you don't know our real names.
No,
do you?
well, pirate names are all that matter right now.
No, we call each other these things because,
True.
you know, it's an easy way for us to remember our monikers. Now, there's another one of ours that we don't know his real name, Captain Vermin Dryrot.
Captain Vermin Dryrot now.
Of the
very
Bloated
famous
Goat.
pirate.
Of the Bloated Goat, yes.
The Bloated
if
Goat.
If you go searching places like Pinterest and places like that, I'm sure you have seen Captain Vermin Dryrot because he's quite the figure. He's got this big hat that's flipped up and he's just as grungy as can be and just as
Missing
fierce as can
teeth and
be.
a fierce. He's got
Oh.
the dagger in his hat, you know, and it's probably one of the most shared pirate pictures you see in Pinterest. One after another, you see it all the time.
Right.
And that is Captain Vermin Dryrot.
We hope to have him someday.
Yarg.
And then, of course, you know, Captain Turner, who he doesn't really have a nickname. It's just Captain Turner. And then
True.
Captain Sangre.
Ah, Captain Sangre, yeah,
You
it's
know,
true.
There's a few of them that we've had, you know, of our friends. And
True.
So nicknames, you know, what do you call yourself? That is up to you. If you want to have a nickname, you pick that out. It's kind of your personality.
True.
But it's not something that it's either something that somebody gives you, or you know, if you want, you can come up with it yourself. But it's
Yeah.
not something that you know, in the age of piracies, that the pirates call themselves.
No. And it's really about a persona that you project.
Right, the persona that you want to have.
What would you like to have? What would you project upon others, or what would you project upon people, and what would you have them visualize you know, in their image? And so here we have our own piratey peoples. We have Captain Anne Bernie, who's right there with the flipped up hat with the skull. We have Bartholomew Roberts. We have Bill G, the bilge rat. We have Pi, the pirate. We have Polly, the pirate, Polly Parrot. And of course, our newest member of the crew,
He's gotten promoted. You used to
Yeah.
know him as
Gunner's Mate Squash.
Gunners Meet Squash, the barefoot pirate
But now he's Captain Redbeard
of the Orca de Lima.
of the ship, the Orca de Lima,
Right.
the barefoot pirate.
Right.
And he's quite fond of his hat. It's got one of his favorite animals on it, the orca,
The Wolf of the Sea.
the wolf of the sea. And what are pirates if they're not wolves of the sea? Isn't that true?
That's right.
And he's the barefoot pirate, and he sits there keeping watch on everything, and watching the cannon and all the ordnance up in front and the weapons. You know, as a good pirate should.
Now, of course, Bartholomew Roberts' ship, the Ursa de Meyer.
The Ursa de Mer, the Bear of the Sea. Now
Right.
that would be Captain Bartholomew Roberts' ship. Yeah, it's true.
Right, his consortus.
Now you should come up with, as you've got the pirate nickname, you should come up with a good ship name too. And that ship name should sort of reflect your personality, shouldn't it?
Right. Ours is the Carrion Crow.
The Carrion Crow.
Because it's got
Right.
the Raven,
The
or
Raven,
Crow.
Or a Crow. And it's not that our ship personally feeds on carrion, but, you know, when times are thin, what can you do, folks?
That's right.
So, come up with a good ship name, come up with a good pirate persona, and then you'll have your identity, and then you'll know how to dress, won't you?
That's right.
Yeah. So who is it that wrote this letter now?
It was Skeezit Wormsley from Nowheres, New Mexico.
Well, skis it, friend. Come up with your own pirate name and your own pirate persona, and let us know what it is.
How about Wormrot?
Scummy Wormrot.
Well, you have Wormsley.
True.
Wormrot.
Skis it.
Skeezit.
Skis. Mosquitoes Wormrot.
Mosquito Wormrot.
Well, something like that. So, folks, post your pirate name and your ship's name on our site. And we'll mention you on air. And if you're lucky, you'll win a...
I don't know. One
something.
of our trading cards.
True. One of our trading cards, or perhaps something special. So, this is another episode of the Pyrate Round. I'd be Captain Skultopus. This be the Scarlet Raven. And we'd like to send you on our way with a toast. And we say thank you so much for viewing.
We hope you're all staying safe and quarantined on your ship, flying the Yellow Jack
Flying
if
the
you be
Yellow
sick.
Jack if you be sick. It's true.
A lot of events have been cancelled, but as far as I know, the second International Pirate Rendezvous, August 7th, 8th, and 9th in Zopen, Germany, is still scheduled. We hope that this madness and plague is over by then. So we hope you're all staying safe and healthy at this point in time.
And we say to you now, friends, we do this for you. You are friends. We want you to stay healthy and safe, and stay strong, and don't give in to panic.
Use your smarts.
Use the noggin that you've got, and remember now, you be a pirate. Don't be afraid of anything. Don't let anyone grind you underneath their boot heel. You be a pirate. You stand up for yourself and for your friends and family, and stab that like and subscribe and share button. And this is for you, your har.
Your har. Smooth sailing.
Smooth sailing.